Good evening, everyone, and welcome into the Forge Podcast. This is episode 3. So if you haven't watched the first two, make sure you go back and check those out. My name is Ryan Messer, and we're one day late recording this and posting this because the Birmingham Bulls wound up dropping their 2024-2025 regular season schedule today. So we wanted to get that out for you guys. We've got a graphic there on Facebook and on X. So if you guys want to check that out, we're going to run through it pretty quickly tonight. We also have to get into the Birmingham Barons as they took their last trip out to Pearl, Mississippi. And then we also have to get into where the, as you can see behind me, the Birmingham Squadron, what they're up to so far, getting ready for their season, as well as the Birmingham Legion as well. But before we get too far into it, it's getting hot out there, guys, so make sure you guys are staying hydrated. I stay hydrated with Blue Spring Living Water. Got my delivery today. They delivered it right to my door. They just let me know they were coming. I set the stuff out there before I headed out to work, and they delivered it right to my door. And they pick up what they need to pick up. If you got empty bottles or whatever they need to recycle, they do that as well. Just it's easy, simple, no hassle. So make sure you guys go on to bluespringlivingwater.com or go and call them to set up your delivery today. Or you can even find them in your local grocer as well. So with that, we're going to jump right on into episode 3 of the Forge Podcast. Jumping right on into things, as we mentioned, this is the Barons' final trip to Pearl, Mississippi to take on the Braves, as they are going to be moving next year to Columbus, Georgia. There's been rumors about them changing the name due to some licensing rights, as you know the teams don't own the Braves, so it's individually owned. They just license out the and work out the affiliations and all. But jumping into the week, on July 9th, it was a rough night for Tyler Schweitzer as he wound up giving up a run there in the 4th inning. And then he wound up getting into a lot of trouble with 4 more in the 5th. And it just seems like the bats for the Barons just couldn't get warmed up that night as they wound up getting shut out. The finals for that game were Mississippi with 6 runs off of 13 hits. There were no errors, and they stranded 9. For Birmingham, there were no runs off of 6 hits. There was 1 error and 9 left on base. On July 10th, it was a little bit better as the Barons wound up striking first. Off of there was a single run in the 2nd with Mario Camilletti singling to bring in Wilfred Veras. The Braves wound up answering with 2 of their own there in the 1st as well. The bats really wound up waking up there in the 5th inning with Mario Camilletti and Sean Gusenberg with back-to-back home runs. Matt Hogan with a triple there as well to bring in Jason Matthews. And then Wilfred Veras with a solo home run in the 6th wound up getting the Barons up 5-3. And then Mario Camilletti came back with a single in the 8th to bring in Tim Elko to make it 6-3. The finals for that game were Braves with 4 runs off of 9 hits. There was 1 error, and they stranded 10. The Barons wound up with the 6 runs off of 12 hits. There were no errors and 4 left on base. On July 11th, it started off really slow for both teams as the Braves wound up getting a single run in the 4th to cut that stalemate there. Then another off of in the 8th off of a sac fly, and the Barons just couldn't get anything going that night, so they wound up getting shut out that night as well. The finals for that game were the Braves 2 runs off of 4 hits. There was 1 error and 4 men left on base. The Barons with the no runs off of 6 hits. There was 1 error and 7 men left on base. On the 12th, the Barons wound up starting things off that Friday. Jason Matthews with a line drive in the 2nd to bring in Troy Claunch. And then Matthews again there took a walk in the 4th inning to bring in Terrell Tatum. Gonzo wound up hitting a sac fly to bring in Troy Claunch in the 4th as well. And then Terrell Tatum lined out to left field in the 5th to bring in Tim Elko. The Barons wound up getting another run in the 6th off of a pickoff error, in which the Braves wound up answering with a run of their own. And then there was a pitching change for the Braves at the top of the 7th, and then Varys and Sean Gusenberg both wound up getting hit by pitches. With those guys on 1st and 2nd, a low ball caught by the catcher wound up throwing him off when allowing both runners to steal. And then the throw of the 3rd was a little high, resulting in Varys coming on home. And then Tatum wound up singling to bring on in Gusenberg for another run. For the Braves, wound up scoring on each of the final 2 innings, but it was just too much to come back from for the Braves, as the Braves wound up finishing things off with 4 runs off of 6 hits. There were 4 errors, just a sloppy night for the Braves with 6 men left on base. And then the Barons winning it 7 runs off of 8 hits. There was 1 error and a stranded 9. On the 13th, the Barons wound up striking first again as Tim Elko singled to bring in Mario Camilletti. And then he struck again with a solo shot in the 3rd. The Braves tied it up, though, with a couple of runs in the 4th. And then it was a stalemate all the way up to the bottom of the 9th as the Braves wound up sealing it with a walk-off home run. The Braves wound up with 3 runs off of 5 hits. There were no errors, and they stranded 5. The Barons wound up with 2 runs off of 8 hits. There was 1 error and 5 left on base. On July 14th, to start off the final game there in Pearl, Mississippi for the Birmingham Barons, it started off slow for both teams, and the Braves wound up ending the scoreless streak with 2 runs in the 4th. The Barons wound up answering it with a couple of their own in the 5th, with Jason Matthews on a sac bunt to bring in Tatum, and then Gonzo wound up singling to bring in Gusenberg. The Barons went ahead in with a couple of runs in the 6th, with Christopher de Guzman singling to bring in Michael Turner, and then Gonzo doubled to bring in Matthews for another run. Braves wound up cutting the lead in half to 1 with a run of their own, in the bottom of the 6th. And the Barons led all the way up to the bottom of the 9th as they wound up tying it with a walk, and then they wound up walking it off with a hit while the bases were loaded. The finals for that game were the Braves with 5 runs off of 8 hits. There was 1 error, and then they stranded 6. And then the Barons with the 4 runs off of 9 hits. There were no errors, but they stranded 10. The standings for the Southern League right now, Southern League North, are Tennessee Smokies number 1, and then Rocket City Trash Pandas 1 game behind them at number 2. And then the Barons are 5 games behind the Tennessee Smokies with third. And then 1 game behind the Barons are the Chattanooga Lookouts, who we actually have a weekend homestand with this weekend. So make sure you guys get out there and check out the Barons. I think they've got a baseball jersey, or basketball jersey, basketball style Barons jersey. They're giving out this Friday, so make sure you guys check that out. And then they got I think a youth kids jersey on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So make sure you guys get out there and check them out and support them as they try to extend that lead over Chattanooga and try to come back again into the swing of things. They are in the playoffs, so as long as we can get better by the playoffs and start getting some action going, we should be good in the postseason. Switching things over to the Birmingham Legion, Jaden Hibbert wound up leaving us this past week. As you guys know, he's the goaltender that was on loan from Atlanta United 2. They wound up recalling him on the 10th. So it was great to have him on the team. But as far as the game on Saturday versus the Colorado Springs Switchbacks, they wound up having the Christmas in July promotion where they wound up having a shootout with Santa, where the kids could go out and do little shootouts, kicks against Santa. And then they had Christmas music playing throughout the entire match there. And then to start the game off, we started seeing echoes from previous weeks starting to show early for the Legion as they were unable to keep the ball in their striking third. The Switchbacks wound up striking early with a goal in the 10th minute of the game, just off the gloves of Spangenberg. Toward the end of the half, the Legion wound up gaining a spark, if you will. Sorry for the horrible pun. With McCartney wound up scoring within the in the first minute of the extra 2 minutes of the half. Then halftime, they came out with intensity and just wound up, it was a back and forth match the entire time. But with 5 minutes left to go in the game, the Three Sparks put up another one in the back of the net. This one was Pino off of the rebound, so to win that game. We haven't had much luck at home, so it was nice to actually have another win at home. So the standings are right now with that 2-1 win. We are 8-7-3 and then 5th in the Eastern Conference. We have a short week this week, as we have a match tomorrow versus Rhode Island FC. So we got to make sure we pack Protective Stadium tomorrow night, as this is going to be the first ever nationally televised home game. So we got to represent Birmingham in a good light. So it's going to be nationally broadcasted through CBS Sports Network. So make sure you guys are out there. If you don't, make sure you check it out on CBS Sports Network. Switching things over to the Birmingham Squadron, as you can see behind me. They just finished off their Dunkin' Dimes event. And then, of course, there's a couple guys, that are in the Summer League. But the big thing right now is Commander is going to be doing library visits. There's going to be members from the league front office reading Elia Can, which is a book by former Squadron guard Devin Kennedy. So they are going to be going to many different libraries around the city, such as Hoover Public Library on Tuesday, July the 23rd at 10:30 a.m. Pinson Public Library on Wednesday the 24th at 9:30 a.m. Bessemer Public Library on Tuesday the 30th at 1 p.m. And then Trustful Public Library Thursday, August the 1st at 10:30 a.m. So make sure you guys get out there. Commander's going to be out there, and they're going to be reading that book. So if you can, make sure you get the kids out there before they start school. I know school's starting right around the corner, so make sure you guys get them out there. Switching over to the Birmingham Bulls, they wound up releasing their schedule today, guys. So we wound up, as you can see, right here to the side here. They released the schedule, and you can see that on Friday, October 18th, we're going to open the season up with the rivalry of I-65 with the Huntsville Havoc at Pelham Civic Center at 7 p.m. Then it's going to be going out to Macon, Georgia, to face the Mayhem. And then the Evansville Thunderbolts, and then the Pensacola Ice Flyers, and the list goes on and on. We're going to wind up ending the season with Evansville, in Evansville. So our last home game will be Saturday, March the 9th, 2025. And taking on the Fayetteville Marksmen. So you can see this graphic right here on our Facebook page. We're stoked to, get the season started and work with the Birmingham Bulls. Speaking of the Birmingham Bulls, next month we will have our next interview to start the month of August. And it's going to be with Coach Craig Simchuk. If you're following us on all our social pages, you would have seen that. But it's great to talk to him. He just got back from Canada, so we're going to get back with him to see how things are going during the off season and see how things, the outlook of things going into this upcoming hockey season. So we're stoked for that. We're stoked. We cannot wait to get the Squadron and Bulls seasons going. Get ready to close out the soccer and baseball seasons. As of right now, both teams are in the playoffs. We hope to see both of them in there. and it won't be long till fall, guys. Summer's almost gone, so it's gonna be great to see. The Barons aren't doing the best right now, but I'm sure they're already in the playoffs. So we've got a lot going on. It's starting to build up toward the fall. So until next week, we'll see you guys. Y'all have a great night.